everyone, and welcome to SCV Means Business. This is the podcast of the Santa Clarita Valley Economic Development Corporation. I'm your host, Holly Schroeder, and with me today is Dennis Verner, the General Manager of Burrtec. So today we're doing a little bit of local knowledge here about things that are happening and changes afoot in the Santa Clarita Valley, and we're going to talk trash. All right, so no, not gossip, not celebrity gossip. We're just going to talk trash. So welcome, Dennis. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So first off, just introduce yourself and introduce Burrtec as a company, just so we kind of orient everyone.
All right. Well, my name is Dennis Verner, and as you mentioned, I'm the general manager of Burrtec Santa Clarita, because Burrtec goes from Bakersfield to San Diego and from the Pacific Ocean to the state line. So it's got a pretty big footprint, and I'm the general manager of the Santa Clarita Valley division. And
so Burrtec is a waste hauling company, but not just waste. It's also recyclables and compost and all types of, but any of the things that we want out of our house and want to go away comes through your company, right?
Yes, we call it, all of it's called trash, but in the trash stream, you've got recyclables, organics, yard trimmings, and you've got, all kinds of different commodities. And we have 6 recycling plants. Most of them are in the Inland Empire. So out here in Santa Clarita, we don't have a recycling plant. The closest one we have is in Burbank.
Okay.
And so we're going to use a independent processor here in Santa Clarita to process the materials that the fine residents generate at their home.
Yeah, so one of the reasons we wanted to do this podcast is because there are changes afoot. And Burrtec has recently won the contract with the city of Santa Clarita to do all of the trash hauling for all residents and businesses within the city limits. Is that right? And that's taking effect pretty soon.
July 1st, 2023.
Okay. July 1st, 2023. So coming up on us really quickly. So let's talk a little bit. Let's start with the residential side. So tell me for a resident of the city, what they can expect to happen beginning July 1st, and what they might need to do, if anything.
There's a few things that are happening. One is, this happens in a lot of different cities where a contract expires and a new hauler comes in, and you end up switching out all the trash cans and going to the new hauler. In this particular situation, not only is there a new hauler, there's cart color changes, and there's new programs, where the food waste recycling program. So there's 3 different things that are going on. So a typical resident at first really won't notice anything, because we're going to be servicing all of the waste management containers. So if you have your 3 carts at your house, you just continue to put them out as normal, and we'll come and empty them on your normal trash day. We're not changing anybody's trash day or anything like that. And there's a good chance it's going to be the same driver that you had, but in a Burrtec truck instead of a waste management truck, because we hired over 40 drivers from waste management.
Right.
And then what will happen is, within 9 weeks from July 1st, we'll come by with a new set of carts. We're going to do certain neighborhoods at a time, and we'll switch out your carts. And then with the new carts will be a food waste pail, an organics cart, a recycling cart, and a trash cart, and with a whole set of instructions.
So you'll be giving a set of instructions to each household when the new cans arrive at their house, so that they don't just walk home and see a new stuff one day.
Right. Well, we've already have sent out a mailer to everybody. Hopefully people have received it. And on that mailer, it gives you a chance to adjust your cart sizes. If you don't want certain size carts, you can get a different, smaller cart. And so we've had a pretty good response with that. And then we've been running a lot of newspaper ads and full page ads so that everybody should be aware. And we're also going to have an interactive map coming online, hopefully around June 15th, where residents can go on our website, or they can go on the city website, type in their address, and see which week is their cart going to be exchanged. It will be exchanged on their trash day, but is it the first week, second week, third week? And that way there won't be any confusion. And then we'll probably go the week prior and drop off door hangers to the houses that we're going to be switching out their carts the following week. So there shouldn't be any surprises, hopefully.
Great. And if somebody's away, let's say, it's summer, so people are maybe having vacation and they don't have their trash out that week, they can find, is there a way for them to get the new cans if they happen to miss their particular neighborhood's week?
Yeah, if they're on vacation, they can either contact the office, which some people have, and say we'll be on vacation. And then, but if they don't contact the office and we show up and their trash cans aren't out, we'll just make a note and then we'll come back later. They could either call us when they get back and we'll come and switch them, or we'll go back and catch them in a later date.
Got it. Great. Okay, so you said there's new colors. So what's the new color code?
So this is a statewide color scheme that's
we're unifying
for the whole state. So anywhere you go in California, if you have trash, garbage, it's going to go in a black or gray container. And these are the same colors that we use in the county. And this is what's important for people to understand is the people that live in Stevenson Ranch, we are already doing this program. So if you jump across the freeway into the city limits, city proper, this is new. So in the city of Santa Clarita, currently the hauler Waste Management purchased a company called Blue Barrel. And so Blue Barrel was the color of the trash.
Yeah, let me guess. They were blue.
They were blue. And that's now the recycling. So we don't want people to be putting the garbage in the blue container after you get your new container. Right. Because in the meantime, while we're servicing the waste management containers, we're going to be picking up the blue ones as trash. And then when you get your new carts with your new set of instructions, we'll be dumping the black carts as trash. And the blue ones will be recycling.
All right. So we'll have black for trash, blue for recycling, and I'm going to take a guess and say green for green waste.
You got it.
All right. Okay, yep. So tell me about this new food program that's a new California law, correct?
It's a California law, and the idea is to reduce the amount of food organics material, which would be including plant trimmings, yard trimmings, and food, even meat, bones, seafood, vegetables, all those types of things that were destined to go into your trash can. Those need to be now recycled separately. Just like in the old days, we used to put our bottles and cans in the trash. Now we pull the bottles and cans out and then put them in a separate container. So the food, we're trying to divert it from the landfill, and the state law is asking to reduce 75% of the organics going into the landfill by the year 2025. So this is giving residents a mechanism to do that. And the way that they're going to do it is, instead of running 4 trucks, one for food waste, one for yard trimmings, and one for recycling, one for garbage, which is going to have a bigger carbon footprint, we're using 3 trucks, 3 containers. We ask that the residents do not bag their yard trimmings. They put the yard trimmings in their container loose, and then they bag the food waste. So right now, any food waste that was going in the trash can, we would ask to go in the separate can. Any food waste that was going in your garbage disposal, continue to go in your garbage disposal. Any food waste that's going into your home composter keeps going in your home composter. This is just a diversion of the stuff that you actually were scraping into your trash can.
And so once bones or something like that, you can't put it down the disposal. You don't want to put it in your compost. You throw it in the trash. Now you want to put that in a separate bag.
Yes, and the reason it's in a bag, a separate bag, is because it's going to be processed differently than the yard trimmings. So the yard trimmings, what happens is the bag, you need a good sturdy bag, a garbage bag or a grocery bag. And then when it gets to the processor, they run it across a conveyor belt and they pull the bags out. And then the bags get processed by a big machine that pulverizes it and pulls the food out. And it's a pretty interesting process. And the yard trimmings get ground up and turned into mulch and compost and other items. So we're just trying to keep them separate, but we're trying to eliminate having an extra truck.
Right, sure. You're trying to, the ultimate goal, I assume, is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So although I think you run some pretty clean trucks, but obviously having just adding another truck adds just to cost and more pollution and more traffic, right?
Right. And if we didn't use the bags, then you'd be forced to wash out your food waste pail every night, and you'd also have spaghetti in with your yard trimmings, and you'd be so
Right.
so by having it bagged up, we're already collecting food waste today. It's in your garbage can, so we're just going to have it not be in the garbage can. It's just going to be in a different can. So it shouldn't be any different. And if you had to wash out those food waste containers, and you got 50,000 households with, using a gallon or two of water a day washing out your food containers, it turns out to be a lot of water that was just going down the drain.
Yeah. Sounds like there's been, I mean, that's a lot of balancing out different priorities and needs of the state, right? To think about, what's happening in terms of transportation, what's happening in terms of water, to find the right balance here.
Yeah, I mean, the ideal thing is if people can just, home compost their organic items. That would be the best way, but you're not going to be able to do that with meat and bones. And, now everything's going to go down the garbage disposal. And, and then another way we talked about, community garden, and people can bring it there, but you're not going to have 200,000 residents coming to a community garden there, everybody driving a car. And it's just a good compromise. The best way is to not have any food waste, so that's the other thing, is it brings awareness of how much food are you actually wasting? Why are you throwing all this food away? So perhaps you don't just buy less food. And
right.
I don't know. That's
right.
I think.
Yeah. No, it sounds like a lot of good, a good compromise, as you said, and thinking through. And again, it's good to hear that this transition has been thought through. I mean, this is taking both just the planning of what's going to be diverted, as well as you said, the transition from one contractor to another. I mean, you said you hired 40 waste management employees, and you'll be using their cans. I mean, tell me a little bit about the change management aspect of this. I mean, must be have been a lot of planning. And what's been your best success and your biggest challenge, do you think?
Well, we were really nervous going into this of procuring all the employees, because everybody knows it's hard to get employees. But I think when you get a contract with the city of Santa Clarita that's a 10-year term with 2 5-year extensions, the employees just came to us, the applicants, and we actually had more than we could hire. It was actually a good problem.
That's great.
So we're at this point, we're fully staffed and we're ready to go with all of the drivers, and we've been working very well with Waste Management. They're very gracious, as giving us the customer list and the employees' names and all that kind of stuff. And we just had a big meet and greet the other day with all the new employees, and had a taco bar and all that. And it was really good. And they're excited. At first they were scared. Like, who is this company? We just we're going to lose our jobs, all that. But they don't have to lose their jobs. They just, basically, our yard is only about 200 feet away from the waste management yard. So and we even have
changed their commuting pattern.
Yeah, we even have some of them parking in our yard right now, because the parking at the waste management yard is a little tight due to the construction of the homeless shelter next door. Mm-hmm. So we're letting them park in our yard, and they're getting to know us. They're coming in on Saturdays and going through our training already. So that was pretty good, and that was something that we thought was going to be a problem. The other thing is I had to order 165,000 trash cans, and I'm going to be removing 165,000 trash cans, so that I had to rent a yard and get a fence and a temporary use permit and all that stuff. But it's that yard, you should see the drone footage right now. There's about 50,000 or 60,000 cars. We'll have it's quite impressive when you look at the magnitude of that. And that's only a small percentage of how many is going to go through that yard.
Right.
So that's
going to be like about a turnover, just right. Coming out, move it in, right? Because that's only a fraction of the households, right?
it's like an orchestra, the way that we had to construct this yard and the way we're staging these barrels, so that when July 1st, actually it'll be July 3rd, that's the other fun part. July 3rd is a Monday, July 4th is Tuesday, so we won't be doing anything on Tuesday except for riding in the parade. And then on Wednesday will be Tuesday's route. So that's going to be interesting, but we've been doing that for years. So we'll have trucks starting to come in on July 3rd and going out and switching out everybody's carts.
So I mean, the industry's changed a lot, and you talked about that. You were able to hire employees. When I was a kid, people rode on the back of the truck, right? So, and you had the whole compressor that happened in the back, and now it's all automated and right. And so, from a worker standpoint, you've reduced the risk of injury a lot. And tell me a little bit about like what you look for in a worker and what it's like to operate, one of those vehicles.
Well, we've hired some of the waste management drivers that we needed, but we've also had to hire other drivers. So we have two categories. We call them in industry or out of industry. So an out of industry driver would be perhaps a bus driver or somebody who drove a tow truck or something like that. They do have to have a Class B license. When they get to us, we expect them to know how to drive a vehicle, a commercial vehicle. They've passed their medicals and certifications and everything that they need to drive a vehicle. Then we train them specifically on how to drive a trash truck. And there's a couple different types of trash trucks. We have our residential ones, which, as you mentioned, are automated. And then we have our commercial ones. The automated ones, it's not that easy to drive them. I mean, I was just like, if you want your trash can smashed and thrown into the trash truck, let me drive it. It takes some skill. And there's the controls, you use their fingers to, you got the grip the barrel, and then you got the one that goes up and then dumps and then comes down, and then the truck has to go into neutral. It's quite a process, and it takes a little while. We let the guys practice, and they'll ride around. It takes them 2 or 3 weeks. It'll take them probably 90 days before they can actually do a full route, because then they have to go to the landfill, and they have the packer and the rear doors, hydraulics, and the same thing on the commercial. You have your levers that you have to adjust your forks and get them into the container. You got to push the container on the forks, get up there and dump. It's fun to watch. There's a video, or forget who it was, Jay Leno or somebody tried to drive a trash truck, and they're smashing everything. I forget who it was, but it was pretty comical.
Yeah, it seems a little bit like it's a fine precision, I guess is the word, to the way that robotic arm grabs things. It's interesting. So you mentioned the commercial side. Let's talk a little bit aside about the business side of this, the changeover for businesses. What do they need to know? What do they expect? And other key changes for our business customers.
So the good news is we've been hauling the commercial waste in Santa Clarita for 20 years. So we already know the customer base. And the only difference is if they produce more than 2 cubic yards a week of trash, they're going to have organic recycling. And so instead of mailing everybody a letter, we've gone out and visited all of them one at a time. And we still have about 300 or 400 left to go, but we'll have them done by June 15th is the goal. And then we'll start dropping off their organics carts. So a typical liquor store or typical business will have your dumpster, and then there'll be a cart that looks like the kind that you would have in front of your house. And that's where they would put their food waste. And even though, a shoe store doesn't typically produce that much organics, you still have employees that are eating. And so there is a little bit of food waste and if they can actually demonstrate that they don't have any food waste magically somehow, they can talk to the city of Santa Clarita. The city of Santa Clarita will come out, take a look, and they can file for an exemption and get out of the program. But there's still, the rates are still the same because the rates are tied to the trash rate. So even if you're not recycling food waste, you're still paying the same rate. So you might as well just opt into the program.
Might as well have it in case you need it, in case you decide to bring coffee and donuts to everybody in your office.
Right, exactly.
And there's donuts left, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Dennis, this is going to be, as we talked about, this has been a little bit of an orchestra to get this all set up and ready for this transition. For people who are listening to this, if they want more info, is there a website, a phone number? Where do they go to get some more info?
So we spend a lot of time on the website, and the cities worked with us. And the website is burrtec.com. But Burrtec, as I mentioned, is a big company. And if you just go on burrtec.com, you might end up in Adelanto or Bakersfield or Azusa. So if you go to burrtec.com/SCV, it's pretty easy. Just like the SCV EDC, just burrtec.com/SCV. When you get on that page, it's going to ask you a couple questions. Are you in the city or the county? And then you just click, I'm in the city, and then it asks you, are you a commercial or are you a resident? So 4 choices. You're either commercial or residential in the city or the county. Once you go on there, the tabs are real easy to follow. And the first one explains what is going on, what is the state law, who is Burrtec, and then it just goes down to when is my trash can going to be exchanged and how's that going to work. So all that information's on there. And they could just call the office too. We've hired 8 additional, I know the EDC likes to hear this, we've hired 8 additional customer service people to go on top of the 4 that we already had. Our customer service office is local in Santa Clarita. We're over by the waste management yard across from the Saugus Cafe. We've been there 20 years. If you call and ask about, Bouquet Canyon, we don't ask you how to spell it. We know where it's at. Which is a big deal. We're not using a centralized call center, which we could, which would save Burrtec a lot of money. But all of our jurisdictions, we have a call center there. So you can call the number. It's 661-222-2249. And a person will actually answer the phone. You'll have an option to push 1 if you want to pay your bill online. But if you just sit there, somebody's going, hi.
Wonderful.
How can I help you? Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Okay. Well, we'll make sure we put those numbers out as well. Dennis, you got a big load of work ahead of you, and thanks for bringing everybody up to speed on what's happening with this. And we wish you luck and hope everybody has the information that they need to make this go as smoothly as possible. So thanks for being with me today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. And everyone, thank you again for listening and watching on SCV Means Business, and we'll see you next time on your favorite podcast channel. Thank you.